Hey, welcome to another Valley Forged. Been meaning to make this video for a while, but it's getting to be Christmas, and man, I'm pretty busy. Things are going really well, but as Christmas does, right? But I'm going to be making some review videos and whatnot, for Christmas and telling everybody what my picks for lasers are. I happen to be using the Rolly Laser Matic MK23010XW. It's a mouthful, but it's a great laser, and I just really enjoy using it. And I guess that's maybe a first tip is get a laser you're gonna enjoy using. I mean, I wake up every day. This is what I want to do. I love lasers. I when I turn the machine on, I feel joy. And that's after years of doing this. It's really amazing. And that particular laser is just a joy to look at. It's beautiful. It's just built so well that it makes me happy. That's straight from my heart. Yes, I have a link below, but I could do that for any laser. I can get any laser I want. There's no limitations. Limitations are, the space, the fact that I want to work inside my house, things like that. But as far as manufacturers, any of them will send me a laser. But obviously, Rolly, I work directly with the owner. It just feels good. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel good to recommend. And that's kind of what we're getting at with this video is just feeling good, doing the simple tasks that have the most benefit for you when you're using Lightburn, your machine, things like that. Just the things that have come up. And I'm going to miss a lot, but I'm going to try and give you the ones that come to mind. Just having the laser tour, I can look back there and I can see it working and see what it is doing is super helpful. Right? And most lasers, you can't do that. That is, to me, a great benefit. If I forget to turn the air on in the back, I'll know it because I can see the smoke from here, right? If something's going on, I could be working, but I can literally see it. And so, yeah, if you love lasers like I do, like, subscribe, all the kind of stuff. And as long as we're talking about smoke, I might as well bring that. I'm going to get into a lot of Lightburn stuff coming up. But the first thing, removing smoke from your home or your garage or your space is way more important than you might think, right? For your health long term. If you're going to be doing this for a long time, you never know what is in these products. You may think it's just pure wood and you trust it. But even then, a lot of people have allergic reactions to certain woods and certain things. So having a really good exhaust, in my opinion, it's just a no-brainer now. I used to be a little bit less worried about that, but over time I have learned peace of mind. I have a really good system. Now you may have seen before, I'll put up a picture. I built an air filter system and it works really good. But over time, it's pretty darn expensive to maintain, especially if you're making as much stuff as I'm making. It's probably one of the cheaper options as far as even reuse, even the filter itself. Compared to, a really good exhaust thing, it's like $7,000 for one that's really good, and it's just going to get rid of all of the smoke, and you could use it indoors. But if you're just trying to keep the smoke away from your neighbors, well, that gets a little bit more difficult. And the one that I built is really great for that again, but it's going to cost you $50-$60 a month if you're regularly using your laser. And you've got to add that. I mean, you think, hey, that's $700, a year. So you got to kind of think about this. You can buy a whole new laser every year. Is it really worth it for you? Right now, I'm running an exhaust fan directly out of the back. And what I'm going to say, first of all, if you want to get a cheap one that's going to be super, super, super good, I'm telling you, I'm in love with this. I like a 6-inch fan. You can get a 4 or 8 or whatever, but for me, the 6-inch fan just seems to work the best. And you're going to maybe have to get an adapter to go down. Maybe you have a 3 or 4-inch hole in the back of your laser, like you would with the Lasermatic 4-inch, I believe. So I have a reducer going to that, but it's really not difficult. I take out the original fan, and I do on almost all lasers I get. I take out the exhaust fan that's in it. I use this. Not only do you want to use something like this, but also, in my opinion, you want it either at the window or outside. Sucking, we're getting getting into a lot of innuendos in this particular video, but you really want it to suck outside instead of push the air outside, right? So what I have is the window, and then the back side of the window that's outside is where my fan is. So you can barely hear the thing. And that's one of the added benefits of putting it right on the outside of your window, is that you're sucking the air out of the laser, which in my opinion does a better job, because when you're pushing it, if you have any leaks whatsoever, it is going to find those leaks. But I find when you're sucking the air out, then it no matter what, it's not going to leak, because it's even pulling the air through those holes, if you get what I'm saying. So I end up with no smoke smell. I have a couple of air filters that I keep around, but I've had them now for almost a year, and I haven't had to replace the filters in them because no smoke is coming out. There's no smoke. And it just works a lot better. As you can see, it's $34 with a 10% coupon right now. I don't have any affiliate for this. It's just a really good duct fan for the price. And I really like this knob where you can turn it all the way up, all the way down physically. I really didn't like some of the other fans that had electronic ones. It just drove me crazy. So this was really nice. Sometimes I'll just leave it on low for a bit just to get any residual smoke out while I'm not running the machine. And I don't have a picture of this, but I want you to mentally think about this. I have a square cardboard box, right? It's like an empty cardboard box on its side. And I cut a 6-inch hole out of the side of that. And what I can do is I can set it on top of my machine, take the air hose out of my machine, stick it into that hole, and now I have a paint booth. Now I can just turn this up and it will suck any fumes, any paint fumes, anything right outside. And then I could just put it right back onto my laser. It's a 2-in-1 thing. It works really well for me if you're in a small space. Maybe I'll try and take a picture of that and put it up. Regardless, that's, I believe, is a very important thing, is getting that air out, and most lasers just don't have a very good solution for that. The second thing I'm going to say is this, I mentioned this in the last video, it's a Fibing's Vintage Gel. I started out with the Mahogany, and I really like it. You can see on a couple of my latest projects, which would be this Celtic Cross one, you could just see how great the engraving looks, and it adds that little bit of tint to it. I just bought the black one. I haven't tried that yet because I'm thinking that'll really look good. Now, I remember I am using finished wood. Actually, with this one, I used the unfinished in the back part and finished it later. But this front part of the cross, which is this part here, I did in finished 1/8-inch wood from Craft Closet. And so when I etched it out, it was still finished on the rest of it. So it was easy for me just to use this gel. It's gel, so it works so nice. And you just spread it over the whole thing and then wipe it off. And it just really leaves a beautiful finish, or a beautiful engraving. And then I shoot one shot of finish. I use, do I use? I happen to use lacquer because that's just what I like. I spray one shot of lacquer over the top of it. It's finished. It looks amazing. And I just feel, wow, it's a new go-to thing for me. I tried to do the same thing with some wood stains and things like that, but they were just too liquid and it was just messy and I just didn't like it. So try what you will, but the gel just really seemed to be nice. So let's get on to some Lightburn stuff. You know, there was just a new update, 1.7. I don't know if you guys have updated yet. If you see these scissors, that means you've probably updated. I was making, well, just lately I did the candle holder here, which in this file, you will get one that has the center of the Celtic cross as well if you want to have a matchup, you know, between those two. I think they'll look really nice together. And I had a heck of a time putting this thing together and creating it. And it would have been so much easier had I just done this update. I hadn't done the update. When I hit the button to do the Lightburn update, it just kept saying that it wouldn't go through and it wasn't attached or something like that. I watched a video and realized you have to download it from a Lightburn and then just do it that way instead of updating through here. I didn't lose any settings. There was no problems. And it's brilliant because check out these scissors. You know, before it was so hard to go in and just select one little thing and get rid of it. Now you have these scissors. You could just grab this little part here and just cut it out. Oh, so brilliant. I can't even tell you. So that's one thing I would definitely do the update for. A lot of times you're going to get files from Etsy, and not my files, of course, but they're going to be PDFs or they're going to be bad. You're going to have to redo something. And a lot of the tips that I'm going to give you in this video will really help with those files. And then if you want to redo my files and make them different, well, of course, this is going to help as well. Some basic things that I do in the settings is if you have a diode laser, this works really, really well. It doesn't work for CO2 lasers because you can't see the actual laser. But enable laser fire button and then put laser on when framing. I have it at 2%. Put it at something really low, below 5%. And you'll be able, when you're framing, it will show you the line of the laser. The laser will fire, showing you where it's going to go. It is a game changer for me. It's just the way that I prefer to do it. And at least you have that tip and it's useful for you. Play with it. See how it works for you. You have this one here. It says frame continuously. That could be really helpful sometimes too. Say your machine's a little far away from you, or you want to make sure that it's exactly perfect. You can just hit this frame continuously. And then when you frame, it's just going to keep going around. See, combined with this laser on when framing, you can literally see the laser. It's kind of like having a fiber laser, I guess, you know? And you can just see it. And then you can move your wood. You just got to be careful. And you can put it exactly where you want it, where the laser is. Just super, super helpful tip. Something that I would suggest that you learn. This isn't necessarily a tip, but something I would suggest that you learn is node editing. So say you pick a shape, and this one right here is the node editing. All right, so you have to pick the shape. Just remember that shape can't be like combined already with other shapes. So say we had this entire, let's select this whole thing. That's another thing that they just came out with. If you go from right to left, you see it's green. If you go from left to right, it is red. So when you're doing left to right, it only picks the things that you cover completely with the square. But if you go left to right, anything you touch is going to be connected. Now, if you have all this and it's all grouped, well, then you're not going to be able to node edit. So automatically, if you're like, hey, the node editing isn't working, just realize, hey, maybe you have everything, maybe everything is grouped. So now that it's ungrouped, you can pick something and you will see all of these nodes. These are nodes. And if you hover over it, you can see all of the things you can do with those nodes. This is invaluable. And if you're looking at doing some node editing, I would select a particular video that shows you how to do node editing. But it's just something you absolutely want to learn, especially if you're buying PDF files or different files that you're going to have to do some modifications to make them work correctly. Another thing that I find myself using all the time now is the Boolean assistant. So say you select a shape and you have another shape that's crossing it, right? And you want to get rid of part of that. Well, what you could do is select the shape, then select the other one, and then you can go up here to Tools, Boolean Assistant. And all you have to do is hover over each one of these to see what's going to happen to your shapes after you're done. And so it's just really, really helpful when you're doing any sort of creation to be able to easily remove the lines outside. It's just easier. It's just a good thing to know. Another video that I made not too long ago is about QR codes. I wish I could just update videos, but if you go up here to Tools, it now says Create Barcode. So you've got a barcode creator here. Now that will create QR codes. It will create barcodes, like you say. So UPC code, all you got to do is type in what numbers you want, and you can see you are creating QR codes now. Isn't that freaking cool? Now, you could literally have your own barcodes just etched onto the bottom of your stuff if you want to. For some people, that is going to be super amazing. So just wanted to point that out. You can do that now, play with it. It has so many different kinds of codes and different things you can do. Lightburn is so cool. It really is just a wonderful tool for the amount of money that you pay for it. I do all of my designing. All of the designing for this was done in Lightburn itself. And then, I just cut and pasted a couple of things, but most all of it is designed directly in here. A lot of it using offset, right? This offset is so useful in so many ways. So get to know your offset tool. You can just see right now how I did the outline of this, right? Amazing. There is a new material test thing, and this is, wow, I wish I could just hand this to everybody and say, okay, just do this. Because I get so many questions about settings, and how am I supposed to know what your settings are going to be? You have to know the thickness of the wood, the type of wood, the exact type of wood, right? Because it's like MDF. There's so many different kinds of MDF. And it's not just the thickness, it's the hardness. And I got to know your laser and how it's working. And did you clean the lens? And do you have the focus right? And there's just no way for me to tell you what your settings are for your laser. This is what you have to figure out. And they have really updated the material test generator. I would highly suggest going to watch a video specifically on this, especially if you are new to lasers and you don't really know for your machine exactly what your settings are. Now, when you're doing something that's just cut out like this, your basic settings are going to work pretty well. But say you were doing like my Lord's Prayer cross, right? you're going to want to have some leeway on your settings. If you can cut out a box at, say, 350 millimeters per minute and then 100% power, right? You're not going to just cut this out at 350 millimeters per minute and 100% power. You're going to probably do 300 or 310 or something, because don't take a chance. This is going to be an expensive piece of wood. You want to make sure that it works right. But you also want to make sure that when it cuts out the small letters, that with your air assist and your particular laser, that you're not going to get a bunch of charring with letters close to each other at 300, 100, right? So all of these things come to play. It's not easy. That's one of the more difficult things about lasers, is figuring out the settings and how you can best use it to get the least amount of char, the fastest cut you can get, and make sure it cuts cleanly. This is really the main job of the person using the laser. That's their job, is to figure that out. Everything else gets pretty easy after that. But I know, hey, trust me, I a lot of times don't check my settings because I think I know, and I've wasted so much wood. And that's why I'm giving you this tip, is just because I know from experience, right? And if you can afford to just go through a lot of material, whatever. There are quite a few other new things that have come out for Lightburn that you should definitely go over all of the new things. Copy along path, they've added some things there, which I need to go more into. When I get back into doing leather, which I will, one thing I have noticed, and I'm looking for feedback from you guys, have you noticed that diode lasers seem to cut leather cleaner than a CO2 laser? This has happened on several different machines that I've had, but I can't say that I definitively know this for sure. But just my experience has been that diode lasers really cut leather so cleanly compared to the CO2 laser. And of course, it's all about settings and making sure everything is correct. And of course, I use Italian leather, which is expensive, but always seems to just be better, just easier to use, more consistent. I waste a lot less, so it ends up working out in the end. I get mine from Rocky Mountain Leather Supply, mainly now. Buckle Guy sometimes, but the Italian leather just seems to work really well for me. But I'm finding that my CO2 laser is just amazing at it, especially the Lasermatic. It's just like so clean. And that's one thing maybe I'll say at the end here is get an idea of how often you need to clean your lens. I notice about every 3 hours of solid work on my Lasermatic, I need to clean the lens. If I'm doing a lot of engraving, because the air doesn't turn on while I'm engraving, which is a good thing, but it also seems to get the lens dirty much faster. I could probably go days without changing it if I'm just doing cutting. But when I'm doing engraving, I do notice that I have to clean the lens a lot more. So it's something to really pay attention to how often you need to clean it, because you can ruin projects real fast by not keeping your lens clean, making sure that your focus distance is the correct one. Those are two ways that really quickly you could destroy a lot of material. Having the air kinked or something, or the air not turning on, not having it turned on in Lightburn or something, can really, really quickly cause some issues. So I figured that's some good updates. There's so much more. There's always more. But leave a comment below and say, hey, you should probably mention this one or that one. There's so many, but if you mention it, maybe some other people will look into that down below. So that'll be very helpful for people. And if one of these things was useful to you, please let me know. It's helpful. I don't do a lot of this type of videos, but I just felt like, hey, there's so many new cool things that are out that I just need to give some of this information. So I will see you all in the next one. Love y'all.